There's someone in your energy who can't stop thinking about you. And it feels like this person, like every time they interact with you, a new facet of who you are is revealed. A new layer is revealed. And it's something which is really turning their ideas about love, about life, about partnership completely upside down. You are a one of a kind individual. This is the type of situation romantically and just in terms of like who you are as a person, that this individual is like, I don't think I'm prepared for sort of what might happen next between the two of us. It feels like to have romance with you would be a life-changing experience, but I also don't feel that I am confident enough to say, yeah, I'm not the man for the job, or I'm not the woman for the job, and that I could just walk away with a clear conscience, that I could just walk away, and that would be something very like satisfying to me on an emotional level or a soul level. So you have somebody that is in kind of, it feels like a preparation stage within themselves, trying to kind of fast track a process of readiness so that they can keep up with you, they can keep up with this situation, so that they can stay kind of like relevant and exciting in terms of the interactions with you, because there's something that they're almost needing to go through, like a metamorphosis or like an ascension in some sort of way, because of what you bring to the table energetically speaking, or how you have approached this connection with them. Like you've been very honest, you've been very authentic, you just are very honest and authentic within yourself, and it feels like that's a breath of fresh air that is really illuminating for this person how many kind of just like plastic and artificial and fake and low vibrational people they have been used to dealing with, maybe in their life in general, or even romantically speaking, where this person sees you as like the opportunity of a lifetime, like a once in a lifetime chance, to step out of their comfort zone, to embark on a very different experience in terms of just like human connection or romance in general, that has definitely piqued their interest and is making them like very proactively sort of ask themselves, okay, what do I need to do in order to vanquish any sort of like fears within myself so that I don't miss out on this opportunity. This energy of like, I think about you more than I let on. I pretend I'm fine, but nothing feels whole without you. They're definitely having like intrusive thoughts about you. You fill their day, the moments in their day when these things are quiet, or even when they're in kind of like the routine and the monotony of like their busyness, and they're focusing on tasks at hand, but then it's almost like this person is kind of accessing for the first time like their higher self or their higher mind. They're getting a lot of downloads and kind of like epiphanies as far as you are concerned, as far as like things that you've talked about, you've communicated, or even just aspects about who you are that have kind of like caught this person by surprise, and they're like, wow, I've never met anyone like that. I've never met anyone that's like into these things, has these beliefs, or lives their life in this way. And so it's like the wheels are turning upstairs, as they're kind of just like taking it all in, sort of digesting the reality of you totally. It's bringing things into their awareness that you are like a rare person. You're like a gem. You are somebody that it's like only a fool would let somebody like this slip through their fingers. Only a fool would fumble an opportunity like this. And this is somebody that's like, I'm not a fool, or I don't want to fall into that category of a fool. So, their mind is kind of like working 20 miles a minute, trying to kind of like figure out sort of, exactly what happens next in this situation, what they need to do in order to make sure not just that they're saying or doing the right thing, but that they remain kind of like energetically very present. This is somebody that doesn't want to get too like complacent in this situation. So maybe it's just kind of like the tension is building at this point in time between the two of you in terms of, speaking on those feelings that are developing more romantically, kind of like more directly. Or this can also be something where, this person is feeling like very challenged to grow outside of their comfort zone. Like you've awakened something within them. They're becoming very alert energetically speaking. And so there's almost like they're kind of in a Two of Pentacles energy, it feels like, sort of trying to balance how they've been showing up in the mundane world so far, kind of, the identity that they have taken on, the life that they have built for themselves, and then this other facet and factor that is like developing between the two of you that is very unique from everything else they have going on, anyone else they've ever like known before or dated before. And so it's kind of like, okay, how do I show up for both these components of my life? But then also, more importantly, where is the point where all of this kind of merges together into a oneness, into a wholeness, into a unity? We have, I wasn't ready then, but I'm doing the work so I can be ready now if you still feel me. Yeah, so this person definitely like doesn't want to miss out on this opportunity with you. They are fascinated by you. They're fascinated by your perspective on so many things. They're fascinated by, even kind of like your self-love, your self-esteem, your level of self-respect. They've never met somebody like that before that can have such high standards and still be so approachable. This person feels that it's very like easy to talk to you. It's very easy to open up to you. And unlike other people that they may have encountered, because this person could be very slow to trust, slow to let their guard down. It's like they just effortlessly kind of, connected with you as if you're like a long lost best friend. This person is definitely, sensing that there is something very unique, very healing, very inviting about exchanges with you, about who you are as a person. They see you as somebody who is an asset, a good addition to their life. There's a sense of like, I want to do whatever it takes to make sure that I am not like triggering you, I'm not giving you mixed signals, that I'm not over promising and under delivering, but at the same point in time that I'm not moving with a huge degree of like caution or closed energy, because I don't want to be somebody that just ends up in the friend zone, or somebody that it's like you're looking for like a strong partner, a strong partnership, and if I'm bringing forth a very passive energy or like a weak energy, I don't want to be somebody that is just kind of like, dismissed from the possibilities of other people you may be talking to, other people that might be interested in you, or other people that might approach in the future. We also have, you were never just a moment, you were a turning point. So you have definitely sparked an awakening within this person. They are feeling things they have never felt before. There is an intensity of not just curiosity in terms of like, yeah, I'm attracted to you and I want to get to know you. But there's something where they're also kind of like seeing a lot of signs and synchronicities, asking themselves questions about sort of like the higher purpose or the potential purpose of what can develop between the two of you romantically. And it feels like they've never asked that sort of thing before. The only question has been like, yeah, do we like each other? Is the sex great? Is there something with this kind of like makes sense on paper? Good. Okay, then I want to move forward into a romantic connection, or I don't. But with you, this is almost something where they're thinking about kind of like, well, what does this mean for my life path in general? What would the future look like? Could this connection lead me to a greater degree of peace within myself? Could I lead this person to a greater degree of peace within them? Have we aligned at this time in our lives for a reason? So this is almost something where your energy is serving as kind of like a guide or like a blueprint for this individual while they're going through some kind of process of bringing almost like their higher or heightened senses online fully in order to kind of embark for the first time in like a higher level love, like a divine connection. This can definitely be counterpart energy, something that doesn't bring in kind of like the chaos of, say, a twin flame situation where, there's like a push pull, there's these like periods of separation, but this is somebody that might almost be qualified as sort of like a higher level soulmate. You're holding and anchoring in a particular frequency, and this person is like rising to the occasion very rapidly, very enthusiastically. It's like eyes wide open and kind of just taking it all in like a kid in a candy store. This experience of like, you are such a dynamic and beautiful person inside and out, but then there's also this other sort of component to them that is becoming awake, that is becoming very aware, that is also reaching for this higher potential in this situation with you, and it's bringing forth a lot of enthusiasm. This person's like really excited about this. And we also have, I never meant to make you question your worth. You are always more than enough. So this person does not want you to doubt that you are the full package and then some. There's a sense that you are not just their dream girl or the dream guy, but you are something above that. You are somebody that they couldn't have, manifested any more perfectly. Like, you check off all of the boxes of everything they have been looking for and seeking, and even things that they never knew that they needed or that were possible before. That ties into that idea of somebody that is kind of like like going through the process of an ascension. They are coming into almost like a more mature version of themselves. Like the experiences with you, wherever you're at in your dynamic right now, these are every little conversation, every little encounter, every little experience, whatever's happening in the astral realm and the dream state between the two of you, all of that is like a series of rites of passages that is bringing this person into kind of like a more developed aspect of themselves, something where this is kind of like, they're stepping up in their soul ascension in this lifetime to experience like a higher level or divine love for the first time, and for you as well. That feels like there's almost like a lot of healing that is possible, because you may have experienced, especially if you're on like an ascension path or a spiritual path, you consider yourself to be like a divine feminine, a divine masculine, that you have kind of not been able to really connect with people that had the stamina, the wherewithal, or made the choice to kind of like go through those growing pains, go through that process of surrender, were not participating with, or perhaps weren't even sort of destined to, could have just been karmic partners or karmic people to go through that process of sort of rising into love, rising into that higher love. And so it feels like this is somebody that is like, yeah, they're experiencing all of those things within, all of those ascension symptoms, all of like a lot of information that's coming into them all at once, a lot of energies that are coming in all at once, a lot of downloads that are coming in all at once. They may even be like looking things up about like soulmates, soul connections, spirituality, ascension. Like they're taking all this in. They're kind of like feeding their mind, like all this food for thought. They're eating it up. They're loving it. It is making so much sense for this person. It is connecting so many dots inside of themselves, maybe even for other kind of like interests that they had or experiences that they've had in other areas of their life. And it's like, whoa. And then love can be a part of this component of me. I'm totally on board with that. And so this may be something that for you, it's like the first time that you also have encountered somebody that is like consciously going through that process of an awakening. Is not kind of like, ooh, I'm awakened, I'm going to be so triggered, I'm going to run off in the other direction and kind of just go in my shell and live in the land of denial, and maybe I'll see you next lifetime. But this is somebody that's like, ooh, this is so cool, this is so awesome, this is so amazing. Yeah, let me soak this in. Let me participate in this. I couldn't have asked for something better. This is like more than sort of the jackpot energy. This is more than the grand prize. This is something that this person really does recognize that it's once in a lifetime opportunity with you. They know they're never going to meet somebody like you again. They recognize you as somebody very significant in their life or on their life path, but they also feel like, I don't want this to just be like, hey, there was that significant person and then we went our separate ways. It's like, this is someone that wants to do everything that they can in order to kind of like raise their frequency very consciously, so that you're anchoring in something of a higher plane and polarity with one another. We also have, if love is energy, then mine is still wrapped around you, soft, steady, and waiting. Yeah, so this person is definitely like merging energies with you. You're merging souls with this person, and they feel it very consciously. This person may have even sort of started a meditative practice. Maybe they meditated before, and it's kind of like, wow, here's this other conscious being that I'm able to connect with. It feels like they are consciously like reaching out to your higher self. They may be astral traveling to you if you're not able to like go see each other, in the physical world. It's like, well, nothing stops us on the astral plane, so I'll be there in like an instant. You may feel this person around you, and this is not something where it's like a disembodied higher self, and the 3D version of this person is like, asleep and kind of just moving through the world like a zombie. This is something where they are awake, they are alert, they are connecting with that higher self, and they are trying to project their frequency out to you. They're exploring all elements and aspects of this, and it feels like this is something that they're very excited about the time. Maybe when they kind of gather the resources, the knowledge, the information, they've kind of like acclimated certain things, energetically speaking. They want to like talk about these things with you. They want to talk about these experiences. They want to build in that area of what is possible in a connection with you. They see this definitely as like a higher potential for connection, a higher potential for love. They see you as a high vibrational being, somebody that is a blessing in their life, somebody that is a blessing upon the earth. There's a sense that they feel that this is like a sacred moment, a sacred opportunity, a sacred experience, with you. They feel as well that a lot of your kind of like ideas, your experiences, your beliefs, even just the vibe and the frequency, you connect so well. And this person is so curious about like, what can we learn from each other? What can we teach each other? Not just about love, but like life in general, about the nature of like spirituality or the universe or, the divine, God, like all kinds of things. This person wants to go very deep, very much into the outer limits, in terms of like conversation. They don't just want to talk about the weather or sports or, kind of like what the plans for the weekend are. This person wants to go deeper with you. This person wants to connect on all levels. And so they're going through this kind of like preparation process, sort of coming online fully within themselves, going through some sort of upgrade in terms of their energy, and trying to, it feels like, find ways, not just sort of like Two of Pentacles do the dance and like I'm trying to balance the mundane and this kind of like ascension journey that is happening, but it's kind of like they have a very solid program going on in terms of their mundane reality, the life they were living before you came along. And so now there's a lot of focus on, okay, here is this higher potential of love. Here's this very high vibrational person. Here's this very high vibrational experience. How can I kind of bring that into my current reality? How can I make room in my current life that I have going on in order to fit this connection, in order to fit you in order to introduce you to whatever else they have going on, in order to kind of bring you into the fold of their reality, the inner circle, the inner sanctum. This is somebody that wants to hold on to you and bring you closer rather than letting you kind of like drift apart. So it feels like they're sort of gearing up to maybe address some of these things, these more kind of spiritual things, or deeper conversations with you, not just in terms of like, yeah, let's start talking about these topics, but something where they definitely want to address kind of like the intensity between the two of you, let you know that they are like a conscious person, they are an awakened person, that they are a spiritual person, maybe even to kind of like show you like, yeah, I've done my homework. I've looked into these things, just so you know, I'm not just going to be somebody that, that aspect of yourself is like, you can't share that, or I don't understand that, or that's the line in the sand where we're kind of like, we part ways and our story ends with one another. This is somebody that wants to start to, kind of fold those aspects of the energies into the experience that you have with one another so far, because they're very excited to live that experience of like a higher vibrational love in the here and now. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.